So, Harald, we just want to ask you some questions about the interaction between the stakeholder and the process-related components of maps.
Yes.
And if you want to give a brief overview about the importance of them and what role they play, the interactions between the two.
Well, this is really at the heart of the MAPS approach, MAPS methodology, if you want, which is that both what we're trying to generate, the evidence base, needs to be really, really rigorous, which is the research comes in, but it also needs to be agreed by stakeholders who are actually going to implement this, and which is where the process comes in. And so it's important that these two dimensions interact very closely, and it's an iterative kind of process. So where typically researchers might propose certain modeling frameworks, but you've got to first get that agreed with the scenario building team, and then you start going off, and then you again check the data, and so on and so forth.
Okay. And who's responsible for coordinating this interaction?
Well, this is really a leadership team. In the nature of the two things, there would be a research lead and a process lead, so a facilitator and an experienced researcher. The researcher will also need to have quite a lot of skills in terms of communicating and interacting. And then also, I think what we've learned very much in the MAPS process, it's also the mandate of all of this is also incredibly important, and the leadership from government side, it's a government mandated process, is also involved. So it differs in each of the countries, but in essence it would be the government leadership, a research lead and a process lead.
That's great. And you mentioned already the need for a strong mandate. What are some of the sticking points that one might experience during the process, and can you give us some indication of how you might overcome them?
Well, in terms of the mandating side, those would be political issues, but in terms of the research side, I think what is important is upfront to build that confidence by opening up the methodology, also opening up, for example, data. So in the LTMS process in SPT2, we had a long document about all the key data and assumptions. I checked myself on all because the model contains so many data that there is already some judgment by the researcher saying, okay, here's the important data. In addition to that, we actually opened up and said if anybody wants to look at the whole model, they can come and look, and some did. But that builds confidence in the input data. If people have seen that, they're less likely to question the results for that reason. They may still question the results because they don't like them or because they think that the analysis has not been done well. But then you can have a different kind of discussion, and then also the iteration of results. So people see initial results, and they say, no, we want you to run this differently. If I can use one example, industrial energy efficiency came up. There were very widely diverging views on how much could be done, how much of that potential South Africa had already used up. So we ran a range of things and had special meetings, and it's those kinds of activities that build the confidence from the stakeholders in the process that the research being produced is really credible and legitimate, and that therefore they're willing to accept the results and agree with them and implement them, even if they don't agree with every single decimal point answer.
Yes. That's great. And are there any early warning signs that you could identify of things that aren't running on track, or is it a matter of just keeping tabs on the process every step of the way?
Well, the stakeholder process certainly generates early warning signs. So you will find the stakeholders we try to get into MAPS processes are senior people in their own domains, and they're not typically shy to tell you if something is not going the way that they would like, and so you will get critical feedback. You'll get constructive suggestions of going to speak to other people. Often doors are open for you through this as well. On the research side, I think it is important for the research team because this involves a consortium in all cases of different research teams to really do keep tabs on what is being produced. And there the usual issues Right.
Yeah.
People want more time, they don't have enough budget, the results are not all available at the same time to be put together, and that's a research management task that is complex and challenging.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Brett.